My name is Shari Lalby Johnson, and I am proud to be designated to lead tonight's town hall. Today will be an engaging discussion with members and representatives from Grenada, and we wanted to use this opportunity to not only celebrate Grenada's 50th anniversary, let's do a round of applause for our 50th anniversary. I hope that you take this opportunity to pose questions, share things that are on your mind around Grenada, the state of Grenada, PT Martinique, and Carriacou. And let this be a very engaging evening tonight, right? And so tonight, I'll be joined on the stage by the Honourable Dickon Mitchell, Prime Minister of Grenada, PT Martinique, and Carriacou. We will also be joined by the Honourable Joseph Andall, Minister of Foreign Affairs. Ambassador Tarlie Francis, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of the Embassy of Grenada to the United States, who hosted this fabulous event tonight. And Ambassador Andrea St. Bernard, Special Envoy for Development and Investment in the Office of the Prime Minister. And so I invite these members to the stage, and while I have your attention, I do want to acknowledge Congresswoman Barbara Lee, who has joined us. Welcome to all citizens of Grenada, residents of the Friends of Grenada, residents here locally from the DMV. Welcome. So may I invite our guests to the stage? And at this time, I invite Agnes Henry to open up with prayer.
Most holy and almighty God, we come before you today in thanksgiving for your many blessings. We thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for this opportunity for communion and fellowship. We thank you also for our challenges, because even in the valley, Lord, you are still good. And we can learn from the perils that confront us. Remove all sources and places in our beings where hatred, pride, divisiveness, and unforgiveness reside. And fill us with love, fill us with humility, forgiveness, and a spirit of unity. For we long to be one people, one family, one nation. We ask you, Lord, to bless this evening's proceedings with order and fellowship as we continue our efforts to rebuild and advance. We raise this prayer in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Hail Grenada, land of ours, we pledge ourselves to thee. Heads, hands, and hearts in unity to reach our destiny. Ever conscious of God, we proud of heritage. We in faith and courage aspire, build, advance. As one people, one family, God bless our nation.
Honourable Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell, Honourable Foreign Minister Joseph Andall, Ambassador Andrea St. Bernard, distinguished Congresswoman Barbara Lee, fellow diaspora members of Grenada, and friends of Grenada present. Thank you very much for finding the way and the time and the rain and the weather to be with us this evening. I make these welcome remarks feeling the warmth of the presence of our Prime Minister, who is with us for the first time this year and is with us carving the time out in a very busy schedule to be with us today and tomorrow in the DMV. The Grenada Cultural and Social Association, the Grenada United in Virginia Group, Grenada International Uplift Corporation, Helping Hands Summer Crew, are some Prime Minister of the main diaspora groups that work tirelessly to ensure that the link and between Grenada and the DMV diaspora, as well as individuals and families in Grenada, and those of us here, Grenadians and friends in the DMV, are ever connected and ever close. It gives me honor to be the one welcoming you here today, Prime Minister, because another ambassador would not be able to say that he was the first to welcome you to the DMV. And this evening as we gather, my friends, it's also in celebration of the 50th anniversary of independence. We did what we usually do in February and in March, and then we saved the time that the Prime Minister will be here to celebrate as well. I want to thank you all for being here and to say that the effort this evening is for engagement and for a discussion with our leader. The presence of the Prime Minister reminds us of the strength and leadership that has guided our nation through the last 2 years and has brought us through difficult moments, not least among them burial. Not least among them, the COVID. And that builds upon the strength of leadership that our country has seen working through resiliently the 50 years of independence. For this, Prime Minister, we thank you as well. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to all of you again for being here this evening, and look forward to an engaging discussion with Prime Minister Mitchell. Thank you very much.
And so at this time, I invite the Honourable Joseph Andall, Minister of Foreign Affairs, to bring greetings.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator, Prime Minister Honourable Dickon Mitchell, Ambassador Andrea Bernard, Congresswoman and Honorary Grenadian Barbara Lee, and members of your staff, members of the traveling delegation, members of the embassy staff, Grenadians, friends of Grenada, good evening to all former ambassadors now attached to the Organization of American States, Yolan Smith. Good to see you here. Welcome, good evening. This evening is more about you than about us. So I will not be giving a speech, but just to make a few brief remarks. One of the hallmarks of our government is a deliberate effort to engage our people at home and in the diaspora. We do it sometimes through formal town hall meetings. We do it through informal on-the-block sessions at the different villages throughout Idimatni, Carriacou, and Grenada. We have done it in a couple major cities in North America, and tonight it's the turn of the DC, Virginia, Maryland area to host one of our regular town hall meetings. We do not see the diaspora as Grenadians who live abroad and occasionally send a barrel or send something via Western Union or MoneyGram. For us, it's an organic relationship. It's one where we strive to make it symbiotic. You have quite a lot to offer to us, and through the wonders of modern technology, you do not necessarily have to be home physically in order to make your contribution. In fact, one of the first things we did was to ensure that Grenadians living abroad had the opportunity to participate directly in the governance process. For example, when the opportunity came up to appoint members to the different statutory boards and other parastatal entities, we ensured that the process was open to Grenadians in every nook and cranny of the world. And it was not just an exercise in tokenism, but a genuine effort to engage our citizens who reside abroad. And we are very happy and proud to say that currently quite a number of Grenadians living abroad are serving on these boards. In fact, some of them are even chairing the boards. So our commitment to you is genuine and ongoing. We appreciate the fact that in spite of not being physically present among us back home, your thoughts and your actions always take us into consideration. And the recent passage of Hurricane Beryl was testament to your love for and commitment to your homeland. You're always there with us and for us, and we want to be and do the same for you. So as we have this encounter this evening, we hope and expect that it will be very interactive, that you will throw the hard questions at us, you will make your observations, your recommendations, they will be duly taken on board, and this is not an episodic event, but one that is the beginning of a long-lasting and continuous relationship between this government and our diaspora. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. And at this time, I invite Her Excellency Andrea St. Bernard, Special Envoy for Development and Investment in the Office of the Prime Minister. Join us, please.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I will stand on protocols established, but I would like to very much thank Ambassador Francis for inviting us and for organizing this evening. Good evening to distinguished guests, Congresswomen, and good evening, brothers and sisters all. It is quite a pleasure to be here with you in DC. So I am introduced as Ambassador, Special Envoy for Development and Investment, which may not mean a whole lot, but I want you to know that I am a daughter of the soil, born in Grenada, but I grew up in the diaspora, and I can attest that my heart never left Grenada. I am a returned national. I live now in Grenada for quite some time, and I've thrown my whole self and heart into doing all that I can to help advance and move Grenada forward with the wonderful administration led by the Honourable Dickon Mitchell. So I am a testament to the energy, the love, and the devotion that lives in the diaspora, that remains steadfast and committed to seeing development in Grenada, and also to the reality that so many of us in the diaspora consider Grenada home and want to have the opportunity to always claim it as home, whether we're residing in Grenada or elsewhere. I look forward to the engagement with you this evening. It is quite a pleasure for us to have the opportunity to do town hall engagements throughout the land in Grenada, but also with the diaspora. One thing that we certainly know and acknowledge and are working on is finding ways to harness the strength, the brilliance, the exceptional expertise and experience of our people in the diaspora. So it's essential to Grenada, to the continuing development of Grenada, to the achievement and accomplishment of the many ambitious plans that we have, that we hear from you, that you contribute to, and give us all that you have to offer. We are very much interested in hearing your thoughts, your ideas, and also we're here to give you the news of things happening at home. So it's very much a pleasure to be here, and I look very much forward to the engagement this evening.
Thank you.
Good evening, please, thank you very much. His Excellency Ambassador Tarlie Francis, Honourable Joseph Andall, Minister for Foreign Affairs and Member of Parliament for St. Patrick West, just in case there are any St. Patrick Westians in the house. Her Excellency Andrea St. Bernard, members of the Grenada delegation who are visiting with us as part of the delegation, Congresswoman Barbara Lee. Permit me, ladies and gentlemen, to say a little bit about her because she has to leave shortly. I actually spent probably 45 minutes on the phone with her on Thursday, and I told her I would be here in DC today and tomorrow. And testimony to her commitment to Grenada is the fact that she's here in person despite her extremely hectic schedule to support to Grenada. I first met her in person at the home of Ambassador Decima Williams. And if you know Ambassador Decima Williams, you know she is a tower of female strength, a tower of Grenadian patriotism, and her friendship with Congresswoman Lee goes a long, long way back. And so that should tell you how long Congresswoman Lee has been a champion for Grenada and Grenadian causes. So I want to use the opportunity to thank you personally for having supported Grenada for in excess of 4 decades. So I'm clearly giving away how long you've been championing Grenadian causes, and you continue to do so today just as passionately as you had from the beginning. So on behalf of Grenadians in the diaspora, on behalf of Grenadians in Grenada and everywhere, I really want to take this opportunity to say our profound gratitude and appreciation for your continued support and love of Grenada. Thank you very much. Other distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I recognize our former ambassador who's with us this evening. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your continued support. I'm really delighted to be here with you this evening. It's been a long time coming, and so sometimes good things take a little longer to happen. So I want to start first by really appreciating the fact that in the slightly overcast and rainy weather on a Tuesday evening, you've taken your time and you made the choice to join us here today to engage in this stall and to share, to learn, to make recommendations, and I'm sure there may be some criticism in between there that will be helpful in ensuring that we can continue to make Grenada go up, up, up as we celebrate our 50th anniversary as a proud and independent nation. So I want to start by offering congratulations to you, fellow Grenadians and friends of Grenada and honorary Grenadians, for the wonderful country that we've all contributed towards building over the last 50 years. And for those of you who are in the diaspora, make no doubt about it, you don't have to be physically on the trial and state to have contributed immensely to the growth and development of Grenada. And so I think we can start by asking you to give yourself a round of applause for the contributions that you have made to our and development over the last 50 years. I feel truly honored to be tasked with political leadership of Grenada during this year of marking its 50th anniversary of independence. We are one of a little less than 200 nations that are independent nations. So the ability to have a national identity, a Grenadianness, is not something that I take for granted, and I don't think it is something that as Grenadians we should take for granted. There are millions of people in the world who are stateless, who are still fighting for that right to determine their own political, social, economic destiny. And so we really owe a significant debt of gratitude to our forefathers, our forebears, who took the bold step to ensure that nationhood and statehood was bestowed upon us, and so that 50 years later we can mark this momentous occasion. And so for me, it is really an honor and a privilege to be leading a small country that has done incredible things for its citizens and for the world at large over the last 50 years. And so I was deeply humbled and honored to have the opportunity to lead Grenada throughout the last 2 years, and in particular to celebrate with all Grenadians our 50th anniversary of independence. So thank you for playing your part over the several months that we've marked and celebrated this occasion. It's been a year-long celebration which we started in October last year, and we're culminating in October this year with some celebrations in the Virgin Parish of St. David, which I'm honored to be the Member of Parliament for. To that extent, we saved the best for last. So if you didn't get the opportunity to come home during February or any of the other months when the other parishes also put on their events, I'm taking the opportunity to invite you to come down in October. As you know, October is a very historic and significant month for us in Grenada. And it's also my birth month, so it's a good opportunity to be in Grenada to celebrate the culmination of our 50th anniversary of independence. So thank you again for celebrating that with us. I want to start, I'm mindful that there are several tens of you and there are only 3 or 4 of us on stage, so Ambassador Francis, feel free to stop me at any time if I'm going on too much, so that we can give the opportunity to members to intervene and make sure it's a real town hall. But I want to just give a couple of quick pointers, and I want to start first of all, I think, by expressing our profound gratitude and appreciation for the tremendous support shown by the diaspora and by you here in particular in supporting the relief efforts to Grenadians, particularly in Carrickfergus, Petite Martinique and the north of the island, arising from Hurricane Beryl. The diaspora was galvanized immediately. Your advocacy, your actions, your gathering, collecting, buying, supplying, shipping home relief supplies went a significant way in ensuring that our immediate responses to this catastrophic event was quick, it was effective, and helped many of our citizens to be able to rebound quickly. And it just goes to show the power of the diaspora in ensuring that when we face challenges or disasters, that we can rely on you to really come to the aid and assistance of our brothers and sisters in the time of greatest need. And so I really want to start by expressing my profound appreciation again for the support and the continued support, because the recovery process in Carrickfergus and Petite Martinique in particular is going to be a long and difficult one, and we know many of you are still making significant efforts in helping our brothers and sisters in PM and Carrickfergus. So thank you again for that, and I'd ask again that you give yourselves a round of applause for the tremendous work that you've done. I want to just talk a little bit about the impact of climate change and hurricanes and other disasters on Grenada and by extension small island developing states, and the need for us in the diaspora to appreciate the role that we can play in the advocacy that is required in ensuring that the right policies and the right financing to address this significant challenge occurs. You know, existential threat is a phrase that is used often. And oftentimes it's used in situations where man has created the threat. Whether it's the threat of famine, whether it's the threat of war, whether it's the threat of displacement, whether it's the threat caused by political instability. In the context of Grenada and the Caribbean, we are not facing an existential threat. We are living the reality of the consequences of cataclysmic climate challenges. And I just want to put in context that on the 1st of July, Hurricane Beryl, which was the fastest and strongest storm to develop that early on record, went directly over Carrickfergus and Petite Martinique as a Category 4 storm. After doing so, it actually intensified and became a Category 5 storm. Now, almost 2 weeks before that, Grenada, Carrickfergus and Petite Martinique was in the midst of a 6-month drought, unprecedented in 15 years. We were having significant wildfires in areas such as Bolio, Granitang. Several acreage was under fire because of the intense heat and the dry weather conditions. And no sooner as the clouds started forming and the rain started coming, and we were thanking God for ending what would have been another cataclysmic and terrible episode, we then had another one 2 weeks later in the form of Hurricane Beryl. And I'm saying this to point out the fact that it is not just the hurricane season that is posing a threat to our way of life. It is the fact that climate change is posing and is wreaking significant havoc on small island developing states, on Caribbean nations, on Pacific islands. And this is something that is critical. It's not something that is going to happen in the future, it is something that is happening now and has the risk of significantly retarding our development. And so this is not a dream, this is a lived nightmare. And I say this because when I went to Carriacou and PT Market the day after the storm, the utter shock that the citizens of Carriacou and PT Market, that you can see on their face, that they still live it. The fact that you've worked hard, you've done all the right things, you've educated your children, you've saved your money, you've built your home, and in 13 minutes, all of it is gone. And so the consequences of having to live with this is not something that I would wish on anyone, and it is not something that we should wish on anyone. I took my son up a couple of days after so that he could see, because on television sometimes destruction appears romantic, it appears like a movie. And for the entire journey he was silent, and when I asked him what his thoughts were, he actually simply said, "I would not wish this on my worst enemy." And I say this to say that a 16, 17-year-old could understand that this is the reality that they are going to face if we do not ensure that the powers that we understand the consequences of our actions and understand the need to ensure that we are better prepared and are better able to respond to the challenges that climate change is bringing for all of us. So it doesn't matter how much we pay down our debt, it doesn't matter how much we are good at our fiscal management. The reality is, if in 45 minutes you can have that level of almost complete destruction of your built civilization, it is going to be almost impossible to have sustained or sustainable development. And then you have other consequences. You have climate refugees. People are going to have to leave. You're going to have to find other places to earn a living and to build their lives. And we know what migration and immigration is an emotionally charged subject. So I say this because as Grenadians in the diaspora, I think it's important for you to appreciate the consequences of what we're facing. This is not an isolated event. This year marks the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Ivan. And it's not lost on me that prior to that, the most significant hurricane we had was in 1955. And we had it in 2004. We had Emily, which was not that destructive, in 2005. And now in 2024, we've had Beryl. So it means the time span for these very destructive events has been cut in half. And you run the risk that you may be facing these types of storms every 5 or 10 years. And let's be real, if it's not Grenada, it's St. Lucia. If it's not St. Lucia, it's Dominica. If it's not Dominica, it's the Bahamas, the Turks and Caicos, the BVI. So as a region, that is the threat that we are dealing with every year. And it really does restrict our ability to grow, our ability to ensure that our young people feel optimistic, that they don't have to live through the cycle repeatedly. So we need all of the partnership, all of the support, and all of the advocacy that we can get so that we can continue to make sure that our civilizations actually remain intact and continue to grow and develop and contribute towards the world civilization. But it's not all doom and gloom. I can assure you that although we've been punched and we've been knocked down, we've gotten up and we will continue to charge ahead, we will continue to forge ahead, we will continue to march ahead. So I'm just going to give a quick update on where we are with our hurricane recovery. I'm happy to indicate that in the case of Carriacou and PT Martinique, we expect to start schools on the 1st of October. And this is significant because it shows that, one, despite the tragedy of the hurricane, that our students are really only missing 1 month of school at best, which would have been the September month. And so it shows that we've been able to galvanize our response and prioritize the needs of our children to make sure that they are not further disadvantaged by not getting the opportunities for education. For the students who have to attend TMI Community College or Neuro, the government has given all of them the opportunity to move to Grenada, and we are paying for their accommodation. We are providing them with food, clothing, laptops, everything that they require to ensure that they are completely resettled in Grenada and that they can continue their education at Neuro and at TAMCC at no financial or economic cost to them and their parents. And that's how much we are prioritizing the education of our young people, because we want to ensure that we don't compound the tragedy by not doing everything to ensure that they have the opportunity to continue their education as a result of this. The hurricane produced, the hurricane produced an enormous amount of debris. And sometimes when these things happen, there are things that you never really think about. But essentially, almost everything that people owned was turned into garbage. So you have vehicles that are completely destroyed, homes that have completely disappeared, an enormous amount of galvanized and zinc sheets strewn all over the streets. In some cases, concrete blocks, smashed windows, white goods, microwaves, refrigerators, washing machines, everything that you can think about was destroyed and strewn all over the island. And so the cleanup effort was critical, because if you don't clean up, you're almost waking up every day and living the nightmare of the hurricane. And so we have mounted what we call Project Pristine, to really restore the pristine beauty of Carrick and Petit Martinique. We have as many as 268 persons from Carrick and Petit Martinique employed in this process, and they've done a phenomenal job in cleaning up the debris, in ensuring that we can separate the waste, because you have galvanized, you have manufactured wood, you have natural vegetation, you have a lot of glass, you have plastics, you have household items, white goods, and the landfill in Carrick was not meant to take that level of debris, and Petit Martinique doesn't have a landfill. So we've had to move all of the debris off Petit Martinique by boat. That's a mammoth task, and we've successfully done so. And we are disaggregating the debris in Carrick. We're stockpiling them, and then we have balers and so on coming to compact the debris and also to ship it off Carrick. We are also the marine environment. As you may be aware, Carrick and Petit Martinique is obviously the center of our fishing and trading economy in Grenada, and the boats were significantly damaged. Hundreds of them either sunk or run aground, and so we've also had to address that. And so we've retained a company from Trinidad and Tobago that has the necessary equipment that can physically take these boats out of the mangrove, put them on land, so that we don't run the risk of oil leaks or other chemicals leaking into the environment and damaging the reefs or the beaches or the ocean. So again, that is a significant task. It's quite expensive, but we have to do so. The mangroves in Carrick were badly damaged. If you land on the airport, the immediate environments around the airport shows that the mangroves have turned white. They've literally been bleached to death because of the ferocity of the storm surge and the wind. So we are going to have to replant all of our mangroves to make sure that we can sustain the ecological and marine environment. That again is something that we are working on feverishly to ensure that we can preserve the marine environment in Carrick and Petit Martinique. We've had significant support from CARICOM and the region. Guyana in particular has sent 50 members of the Guyana Defence Force. They're stationed in Carrick and they've done tremendous work on supporting some of the built infrastructure, like repairing the police station, the magistrates court, central government administrative buildings. So they've really helped us to be able to get the government back up and running so that basic services can be provided to our citizens in Carrick and Petit Martinique. The government has waived all taxes and duties on the importation of goods, both building materials as well as goods, fixtures, fittings, white goods that people would obviously need to be able to restart their lives. So everything is zero rated, no taxes or revenues are being collected by the government in relation to that. The government has also given to the Grenada Development Bank, which Ms. St. Bernard chairs, $25 million to assist the business community in Carriacou and Petit Martinique with restarting and reactivating their businesses. The 25 million is split between grant and very concessional loans. We don't expect that the interest rate will go beyond 1%. So we are doing everything we can to make sure that Carriacou and Petit Martinique comes back better and is built back better. But we also have to take responsibility for some of our actions. A lot of the damage and destruction, particularly to the buildings, occurred because they were not built to code and because the construction was significantly substandard. And so one of the things we are going to have to incentivize is better behavior that allows us to be better prepared and that allows us to be able to withstand and sustain these storms, because we can't stop them from coming. But we certainly can be better prepared. So as part of the process of having all of these concessions and providing the grant funding, we are going to try and incentivize behaviors that support building back better, that supports the use of hurricane straps, that ensures that the building techniques are improved. We've started with some of our regional institutions like the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency to get engineers and technical people to come in to conduct the seminars with the contractors, with the construction industry, and we are going to really have to insist that the planning and building codes be followed. It's not going to be easy, because when you have high demand for labor because of the level of disruption, everybody turns a contractor overnight. And someone who was probably just a handyman or a laborer then says he's a contractor. And for a desperate house owner who has to deal with tarpaulins and water wetting them every time rain falls, it's quite easy to run the risk of saying to someone, yes, you're a contractor, I will hire you, and you end up in the same position that you're in. So it is something that we are working on. We are going to have a sort of one-stop shop in Carriacou and Petit Martinique, where the GDB, the Burial Secretariat, the Planning and Development Unit can streamline the processes to try and help our citizens in Carriacou and Petit Martinique build back better. The major challenge is housing, because there are significant labor shortages as a result of what has happened, and even if you bring labor in, there's no place for them to stay in Carriacou and Petit Martinique. So that significantly affects our ability to build back the homes as quickly as we would like and to build them to the standards that we need. So we are exploring the high probability that we are going to have to introduce modular homes on the island so that we can provide the type of homes in as quick a manner as possible to meet the needs of our brothers and sisters in Carriacou and in St. Patrick as well. We have had a number of engagements in South America and Canada, in Europe, looking at the various companies that supply modular homes. And we are hoping that we can get them to build them to code. We are hoping we can get them to build them to do rainwater harvesting. Because in Carriacou and Petit Martinique in particular, if you're from there, you know that most homes have systems that allows them to harvest the rain to supply the homes with water, because we do not have any surface water in Carriacou and Petit Martinique. And so we have to ensure that some of that indigenous knowledge that is used to enhance the way of life in Carriacou and Petit Martinique is retained, even when we deploy modern building construction techniques to address the household situation there. In St. Patrick, the Minister of Mobilization, Implementation and Transformation, Honourable Andy Williams, is also leading a Build Back Better campaign to assist Grenadians whose homes were lost or damaged by Hurricane Beryl, and to ensure that the construction techniques, again, that are used can ensure that the homes themselves are built back to a much higher standard and can withstand some of the challenges that we would face in the future from climate-related events. So I would say, all in all, despite the fact that we've been punched in the face and that we had a bloody nose as a result of Hurricane Beryl, we've gotten up, we've held on to the ropes, we've dusted ourselves, and we are back in the boxing ring, and we intend to continue boxing, and we intend to continue winning the bout at the end of the day. And I want to thank the diaspora for the tremendous contribution that you've made towards ensuring that we can do so, and that we can build back Grenada better. So thank you again for the support. Beyond Hurricane Beryl, there are a number of things that the government intends to continue charging forward with, and I'll give a brief overview of some of it. We are under no illusion that if we do not educate and continue to educate our citizens that we will not be able to develop the country. And so we are heavily focused on ensuring that as much as possible, young people have access to education, and second, that we diversify the education offerings that we offer our citizens. So from an access point of view, as you may be aware, we've changed the law to ensure that no young person leaves school before they're 18. Because what we have is a situation where many young persons are exiting high school at 16 years old, and we have not yet developed the capacity to absorb all of them at NUNO or TAMCC, and many of them fall through the cracks and go looking for jobs. But at 16, they're not an adult. They have no ability to enter into contractual arrangements. They can't drive, they can't vote, and so it's quite unfair to expect them to be thrust into the world of work at 16 and 17 years old, mainly because they've been provided with primary school and secondary school education. So we changed the law to make sure that the onus is on the state to ensure that we continue educating our young men and women until they're 18. So that's one of the measures we've taken. We have eliminated the tuition fees at NUNO and TAMCC, and I say eliminated here in the sense that the government has taken up the tab of paying the tuition fees for NUNO and TAMCC. So any Grenadian student who meets the matriculation requirements for TAMCC and NUNO, they no longer have to pay any tuition costs to attend these institutions, because we are committed to making sure that we don't have these financial barriers preventing our young men and women from accessing education. Sometimes it may seem insignificant, but for parents who have more than one child, $1 makes a difference, $3 makes a difference. So at our primary schools and our secondary schools, we have eliminated, meaning again the government has absorbed the cost of the school feeding program. So in the past it was $3 or $4 contribution per day, but if you have 2 or 3 kids, that $3 or $5 becomes $15 a day, 15 by 5 days a week, by 4 weeks in a month. And you will see that sometimes the parents are unable to provide that, and so the kids do not get a hot meal. So again, the government has decided to absorb that cost. So all of our children who are at school have the opportunity to have a hot meal provided by our schools free of cost to the parents and to the children. And in addition to that, the government continues to support at the start of every school term through various initiatives like vouchers for books, vouchers for school uniforms, etc., to make sure that the less fortunate have the opportunity to ensure that their children in particular do not have barriers that restricts their access to education. Because there is no doubt that there is a direct relationship between access to education, access to quality education, and whether you get out of poverty or whether you remain in poverty. So we are doing everything as an administration to make sure that this generation of Grenadians get the opportunity to have access to education. But it's not just access. The type and the quality of education is absolutely critical. And one of the areas that we have regressed in over the last 2 to 3 decades is technical and vocational education, skills training. And so the Ministry of Education, as well as other entities, have been tasked with ensuring that we can develop a technical and vocational strategy that mainstreams technical and vocational education from primary school all the way through secondary school and all the way through tertiary education. It is going to take some re-engineering of the education system, but we absolutely have to do it. We've got a significant shortage of skills in Grenada, and it's across the board, from general construction to air conditioning to refrigeration to welding. We can go on and on. The marine sector, and even in the hospitality sector. Many of our chefs and so on are all imported, and we have to be able to make sure that Grenadians get the opportunity to get higher paying jobs in Grenada, so that they don't feel that the only options they have is to leave the country. And we need to ensure that our education system therefore is more aligned to the economic realities of what we face. The other aspect of this is technology, digitization and digital education. And so we're also very keen in ensuring that we support a comprehensive digital strategy to give our young men and women an opportunity to earn higher incomes without leaving Grenada. And I'll give an example of one of the pilots that we will be starting in October. The data has been validated. It shows that there are about, in excess of about 5.6 million unfulfilled cybersecurity jobs worldwide. 5.6 million. So we have partnered with Cyber Nations and a Canadian supplier to train 100 Grenadians to become cybersecurity analysts. The government is footing the bill for this at a cost of $7,000 US per training. The training is a 4 to 6 month training period. Once you successfully pass the training, the supplier who's doing the training has guaranteed us that they will find employment over a 12-month period for the trainings. In fact, they've assured us that the trainings will be gobbled up because of the high demand for cybersecurity specialists. Now, the starting salaries for these kinds of jobs is 3 and 4 times the average starting salaries for even university-educated persons in the region. I graduated as a lawyer in 2002, and when I came back after 7 years of toil, my salary was $1,200 US per month as a lawyer. The starting salaries for persons who are trained after 6 months in cybersecurity is $2,500 to $3,000 to $4,000 US per month. And these are unfulfilled jobs where the demand for these skill sets is very high. So we have to ensure that we do not, simply because that's the way it's been done. It's the lawyer, the policeman, the nurse, the doctor. And I'm not saying that we don't have a shortage of these either, we do. But we also have to give our young people the opportunity to look at alternative, lucrative career paths that allows them to stay in Grenada, but to earn significantly higher wages. That's the only way in which we will bring the foreign exchange that we talk about quite often into the country without our citizens having to leave. And the more money people earn, is the more they will spend, is the more they will invest, and is the more the country will develop. So we see the digital skills as a critical pillar of our transformation agenda in terms of driving the education factor and driving economic growth and driving employment throughout the island. So the traditional areas, agriculture, tourism, these are areas we are still heavily focused on because they provide immediate revenues and employment for the country, and growth in tourism continues. The number of flights coming to the island has continued to increase. The number of hotels being constructed has continued. In the case of St. David's, 6 centres opened recently. Intercontinental is under construction, and we expect construction will be finished in the next 12 to 18 months. The Kawana Bay site, which was previously the Flamboyant Hotel site, we expect that construction should commence in the first quarter of 2025. And in 12 to 18 months thereafter, construction will conclude. There is construction taking place in St. Patrick at the Leverett site as well. So there is a lot of construction taking place on the island. It's exacerbated by the effects of Hurricane Beryl. So we expect that the economy will continue to grow. We expect that there will be strong performances in the economy as well. And so we want to encourage the diaspora as well to take part in investing in Grenada. There are a lot of initiatives that we think you can play a significant role in from the housing sector, because I know for a fact that many Grenadians want to return, find it difficult to find a home, a house to buy. And supervising the construction of a house is a whole different challenge in and of itself. So we certainly think the housing sector is one sector that you can play a major role in. I will speak about one final sector, and then I will sit and give you the opportunity to become interactive with us, which is the health sector. This is a sector that we knew was going to be challenging, and I'd be honest to say I don't know that we have the level of improvement that we would have wished for in the 2 years since our administration has taken into office. But I want to reassure the diaspora that we are absolutely committed to improving this sector. It is going to take a Herculean effort to do so, but we are committed to do so because there really is no other alternative. If we're not a healthy nation, you will not have any nation really to be proud of. So there were 3 areas of this that we need to address. One is the human resource capacity. As you probably are aware, a lot of our nurses, a lot of our allied health practitioners, a lot of our doctors are leaving and are migrating simply because obviously they're being paid better elsewhere. But that's not just a Grenada phenomenon. It's happening throughout the region, it's happening throughout the world. We have to address it by ourselves paying our healthcare professionals better. But it's not just about pay, sometimes it's about how you treat people as well. And oftentimes people leave not just because the salary isn't adequate, but they leave if they do not feel validated, if they do not feel appreciated. And the system, the public sector system that governs how the government does its administrative work is not suited for the healthcare system. It is not responsive enough, it is not flexible enough, and in many instances it disincentivizes our doctors and so on who go to train and come back from stage. Because if we continue with this very bureaucratic public administration system for our health sector, people continue to leave. And so it requires us to actually change the legal framework and to ensure that our doctors and nurses are dealt with using modern human resource management policies. That will require us to statutarize or create the hospitals and some of our primary healthcare facilities under a statutory body that is decoupled from the central government and the central government's administrative system. That will give us the management flexibility to be able to respond and to retain and hire and pay our doctors and nurses using much more modern incentive regimes and without necessarily burdening the central government's